What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Welcome back to another retro review. It's a Different World season 3 episode 14. I think we're on. Yeah, no, 13, episode 13. So this episode, this was a cute one. I remembered it. It was a cute one. We have guest Eric LaSalle, who has you know him as the Soul Glow Man from Coming to America Part 1, but he has moved on to do some other things, including directing. But on this episode, he's playing a professor that's teaching poetry. And we've got Ron, and we've got Dwayne, we've got Whitley and Kim, and a few other, of our fan favorites that are in this particular class. And he's talking about the love of poetry and the romance of poetry and the language of poetry. And, Dwayne and Ron are like, whatever. And, Dwayne is a mathematician. That is how his brain works. His brain works in numbers. He doesn't understand figurative language. He doesn't get, poetry at all. And he is just like, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. Women fall, they fall out all over this. And of course, all the women find Eric LaSalle to be fine. Whitley is, doing what Whitley does and being all flirty and everything. And so he gives them, before I forget, shout out to Kadeem Hardison for liking my tweet. Thank you so much. I tweet out, when I do my shows, and he liked the tweet. I don't know if you watched the review, but he liked the tweet. Thank you. Moving on. And so he gives them an assignment that they have to write a poem. And he said it could be as long or short as it wants to be, but you got to write a poem. So, of course, Dwayne is stressing out. He's in the library. He got 5,000 books in front of him about poetry because, again, he has that analytical mind. So he's trying to find the right book that's going to explain poetry to him. And Ron is like, listen, I got us tickets to the mud wrestling. We got Big Booty Bertha that's gonna be there, and I need you to come with me. And Dwayne is like, listen, you finished your poem already? And Dwayne, Ron got like a 2-sentence poem. And he said, well, the professor said it can be as long or as short as it wants to be. And he was like, and your F is gonna be long and short at the same time, And Dwayne is like, nah, I can't do it. I gotta get this poem done. He's stressing. So he ends up running into his professor, actually. And his professor is like, listen, open your mind to it. You just got to think about it. He said, find something you're in love with and write about that. And it'll come to you. It'll be just as easy as 1, 2, 3. He said, but in the meantime, I got to get down to the mud wrestling match because I don't never miss Big Booty Bertha, whatever the girl's name was. Big Booty Judy, Big Booty Bertha. Somebody with the big booty, right? So Dwayne ends up falling asleep. And who comes to him in his dream but William Shakespeare? And William Shakespeare is telling him, listen, you are thinking too hard. You putting too much into it, And he's arguing with William Shakespeare about how stupid poetry is and how poetry is just dumb. And they get to talking about Leonardo da Vinci. And he was like, listen, Leonardo da Vinci, a friend of mine, who is a great inventor. He's a great scientist, but he also was a writer. And Dwayne was like, what? And he was like, yes, you can be both at the same time. And he says, listen, all I want you to do is I want you to just, pick up the pen and start writing. And he gives him a little feather. Right? Now, while this is going on, y'all know how we always have the little sub story. I'm going to get back to this in a minute. But we always have the little sub story. Now, Miss Freddie, down at the pit, Dwayne is complaining about writing this poem. And Eugene is there. And we've seen Eugene. And going back to last season, Eugene was the roommate to Kim's little ex-boyfriend, the one that she thought got her knocked up. Remember, that's how far back we met. We've known Eugene. And he's looking at Freddie. And Dwayne is like, what's going on? Like, you've seen Freddie a million times. Why all of a sudden now you interested? He was like, I don't know, but it's just something about Freddie. Like, I'm going to ask her out. But Freddie has been hanging out with, this other guy that's into recycling, and he's Freddie Speed, right? He was Shazaa before Shazaa, and if you don't know who Shazaa is, baby, we gonna get there. But he was Shazaa before Shazaa, right? And he was like, what is she seeing him anyway? And he's this and he's that. I'm gonna ask her out. And so before he gets a chance to ask Freddie out, the guy asked Freddie if she want to go to a Third World concert. Now, if y'all don't know who Third World is, back in the 90s, 80s, Third World, they still exist, but they were real big. They were a reggae band. A lot of people, they still exist, I think. But, So, of course, Freddie was like, yes, I'm down for it, so cool. Well, later on, Eugene shoots his shot and asks Freddie out on a date, and Freddie says yes. So now Freddie got 2 dates in one weekend. So she ends up going out on the first date with the guy, and of course everything was perfect and it was great. She's telling Jaleesa and Kim about it, and she's talking about how perfect the date was and how much fun they had and how he kissed her, and they were out all night and how he kissed her that morning, and then she said, oh my goodness, I have a date tonight with Eugene, and they were like, ooh, Freddie, like the drought is over, girl, you get it. And she's like, I can't do that. I went out on a date last night. Oh my goodness, I would be such a harlot. They were like, girl, you are 20 years old and you were in college. Like, that is what you're supposed to do. And Freddie is like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. And so later on that night, when she's supposed to meet up with Eugene to go out on this little date, and she meets him in the lobby, and of course he gets to flirt with her, telling her how nice she looks, and she's telling him how nice he looks. And she's getting ready to cancel the date, and she sees old boy come in, and he's picking up his date for tonight. And Freddie realizes, oh, wait a minute. He got another date. Oh, well, let's go. We're going to the movies. Let me go get my coat, okay? And so it was cute because, Freddie really thought that, oh, my goodness. So she realized that we are all young and we all playing this dating game, and it is what it is. It's okay to go out on a date. You ain't committed to nobody, okay? Now, in the meantime, Dwayne, he woke up from his nap, and he's trying to hurry up and rush up out the library to go write his poem. And he, of course, he realizes that he had a crazy dream. But when he goes to pick up his books, what falls out of one of his books? The pen that Shakespeare had given him in his dream, the little feather pen. So the next day in class, Dwayne finally gets his poem written, and he lets Whitley read some of the poem, right? He lets Whitley read some of the poem. And of course, she's like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful, Dwayne. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And she goes over to Kim and says, Dwayne wrote a poem about me. His poem is about me. Because, they've been doing this whole flirting thing for so long. And he's just talking about his love and, how he's loved this person for so long. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So when the professor asked for volunteers, Whitley volunteers Dwayne's poem. So Dwayne, he's nervous. He gets up to read his poem. And of course, he reads the whole poem. And Whitley was telling Kim, she said, listen, he's talking about me. And Kim was like, no, he's talking about math. And the poem is about his love of math. And the professor said the great thing about that is when you wrote the poem, that's what you were writing about. But 50 years from now, somebody might read your poem and it may be about, in their mind, it's about something else. It could be about love with another woman or unrequited love or whatever. And Dwayne was like, but it's still going to be about math. He was like, but that's the great part about poetry. It's all about the interpretation. Like, you are the author, so of course that's what it's going to be about. But 100 years from now, when you can't speak to what your poem is about, it's going to be about what that person interprets. And of course, Dwayne is like, but that's stupid, and it's still over his head. But it was a cute, moment. Again, this is one of those episodes that it wasn't that deep. It wasn't about, social change and all of that. It was just a great episode about college life. And again, if you've been in college, you could probably understand a lot of what was going on. So anyway, y'all check it out. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.